Michelle Banger, Managing Editor of Quality, and we're here at the Manufacturing and Automation Exchange in Nashville. Right now I'm here with Denise Hall. Welcome, Denise.
Well, thank you, Michelle.
Denise is the president and CEO of Peak Performance, which is a workforce training and consulting firm helping manufacturers achieve operational excellence. Peak Performance also operates the U.S. Smart Manufacturing Institute, which is part of a global network of institutes. So, Denise, thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Of course. So, to start off with, could you tell us a little bit about how you got into manufacturing?
Yes, of course. I love this story. I am an electrical engineer, but I had a mentor growing up. It was my aunt. She kind of was a trailblazer in her time when she was going through her career. And she really mentored me along the way and encouraged me to get into engineering. And I actually worked for a company that we were an original equipment manufacturer, and I was designing the PLC for the equipment, and we went to a manufacturer to install the piece of equipment. And as soon as I walked in through the doors, I thought, this is where I need to be. And so I didn't work in that job very long, maybe just a year. And then I started working for Corning Incorporated. And then I spent over 26 years working for Corning.
Oh, wow.
So,
what a great match to find, like, oh, this is what I want to do and where I want to be.
Yeah, and I did engineering and production roles back and forth until I was a plant manager and was able to manage some plants. And then I also was director of worldwide manufacturing effectiveness because we had some plants in China, so I would oversee those too. But I've worked in facilities in Pennsylvania, New York, North Carolina, and Tennessee.
Wow, what a range. That's great. So welcome back to Tennessee then.
Thank you.
So with so many different job roles evolving in manufacturing due to the digital transformation, how would you say organizations can effectively shift from the traditional kind of workforce planning to more dynamic task and skills-based approach?
Yeah, this is a really interesting and very, very important as we're getting into technology and what's needed, because in manufacturing, we always looked at what was the role that needed to be done, and we filled that role instead of really breaking it down and deconstructing it into what are the tasks and what are the skills that are required. And we still do this today. Even our HR, our human resources, is designed this way to, even in the white collar area where we need an engineer, and so we go and hire an engineer. But if we really take what those job tasks are and break them down into the skills, we might find that we need something a little bit different that in that role. And this is really important as we move on into what are the upskilling and reskilling responsibilities that are needed. And so we actually do this at Peak Performance. We do it through the Smart Factory Institute. We're located in Cleveland, Tennessee, and we do a lot of research with the University of Tennessee, the Industrial Organizational Psychology program there, which is really interesting because you would think that we would be with engineering and on that side of it, but we're really looking at how is technology impacting the worker of the future, and how is that going to change that, and how is that going to change the skills that are needed. And it really starts with that really good job analysis of what skills are needed for the job.
That's so interesting to think about, like, what are the actual roles, and like you said, break it down and see what would be the best fit. So
yeah, it's really interesting. We just did a project for a manufacturer where they had a manual production line, and they implemented an automated production line. And we went in to look at the skills and did a job analysis of the people on that automated production line. And of course, the workers, they're producing 4 times what the manual line is producing. But when we really dug into the skills that was needed, the skills were actually, they were less complex and they were easier than on the manual line, unless they were trained and kept and upskilled to troubleshoot the technology and the automation. And I think that's where we really need to get to, where operators are operating their own equipment and they're troubleshooting and solving those problems. I like to think about this at home. I don't know. I'm a Google Home girl. I don't know if you have a smart home. When I walk in the door at home, I say, hey, Google, I'm home, and the trumpets go off and the music starts playing, the lights adjust to how I want. And that works fine until something disconnects. And so I don't need a lot of skill to set that all up. But once there's a problem, we lose power or we lose Wi-Fi, trying to troubleshoot and get that reset up. And my husband reminds me of this all the time as the light on his nightstand disconnected. And when I would walk in and say, hey, Google, turn on Denise's light, my nightstand light would turn on, but his wouldn't. And so he would walk into the room every day and say, hey, David, turn on David's light. So just to remind me that I need to troubleshoot and figure that out. But you can apply those same concepts to work. And so the skill set is really changing into problem solving, persevering through, and trying to, use critical thinking skills to figure out how do I deal with these abnormalities that are happening.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, I feel like always you hear about grit and how that's like really the most important skill to push through and figure out what's going on. So. 100%.
And how many times do we, get into a problem where maybe our phone's not connecting to our car or something, we just throw up our hands, right, and give up. And in the manufacturing environment, we're going to have to continue to really persevere and work through that and learn good problem solving and good troubleshooting skills to be able to reconnect or accomplish what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's so true. You can't just walk away from the line like, I give up, let's start over. So.
Yeah, or power down and power up, right?
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. So could you give us an example of a strategy you've seen implemented in industry that went well with this kind of thing?
So out of the research that we've done, we've really identified that there are 5 areas or 5 categories of skills. And in the past, we've heard people talk about hard skills and soft skills, and I really it's my mission to get away from that because we're so much smarter than that. And what we know is it really falls into the 5 categories of physical. So there will always be, or not always, but there is a very physical still aspect of manufacturing. You can't make widgets virtually right now, right? You have to be there. There's the technical skills that we've been talking about. But then when you start looking on the other side, there's methodological. So how is the production line running? How are you methodologically going through and the troubleshooting process? Are you able to look upstream and downstream and understand how that all works? Because today it's a system. There's this social aspect. We think we're going away from social, but actually with technology, it's becoming more and more important. Are we able to communicate? Are we able to communicate with robots and machines? People laugh at me when I say that, but I bet you did a reCAPTCHA sometime today where you proved to a machine that you're really a human, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're doing that and really trying to figure out how to communicate and even across languages, right, as we become more global. And then the 5th one is intrapersonal. And we're really finding that this is an area that employees are really struggling with because they have all these notifications coming in. They have all this information at their fingertips and they're not really sure how to handle that. And it's turning into anxiety on the job. And they think, I'm going to leave this job and I'm going to go to this job where I have less anxiety and less pressure. But it's the same thing. And so we have to teach employees and the students, that are coming out of schools now, how do you deal with all this information coming at you all day, every day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's a lot. So with many manufacturers prioritizing upskilling, how do you see the integration of advanced technologies such as AI and automation into manufacturing processes, and what steps can companies take to ensure the workforce is prepared and ready to adapt?
We tend to overcomplicate this because we've been using technology, automation, and artificial intelligence in manufacturing for quite some time now. We just didn't really call it that. And I think with the large language models coming out and ChatGPT and Gemini and that we really have... we really highlight it. We hear it in the news. It's all over social media. But we've always had some form of that. It's just getting better and better. And it is kind of scary to think that the phase of artificial intelligence or the phase of technology that we see today is the worst that it will ever be, because tomorrow it's going to improve and it's just going to keep getting more improved. And so when you start to think about that, it's kind of oh my gosh, where are we going to go with this? That said, is we need to really help people, embrace it and be okay with the change. And the more that they understand how it's going to affect their day-to-day job and hopefully improve it, that the more that they'll embrace it. But there's big headlines like, are robots going to take over our job? Is artificial intelligence going to replace jobs? And even announcements like, Amazon made their recent announcement how they're going to be eliminating tens of thousands of jobs due to artificial intelligence does not help that anxiety level that people have. But the true benefit of artificial intelligence and technology is that it should make us more efficient. It should make us more productive. And so the fear that it's going to replace our jobs is probably not a good fear. I mean, we don't have enough employees as there are. There's not enough in the workforce as it is. And as a former plant manager, I got my budget every day or every year. It was exactly the same. It was do more with less, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's less people, there's less resources. So you're always trying to figure out how to be more productive. And so we can calm people's fears of this by explaining to them that you're going to be able to produce more on a daily basis, because it should make the job less dirty, less dangerous, less difficult, and be able to make them more productive. And then it's train. And what's really important is in the past, we always train by kind of a mayonnaise approach, right? Everybody's going to take this class. And what we really need to do is do a skills assessment and understand where you are versus the next employee and train to your level. And people expect that nowadays. I mean, you expect it, right? You go in, you expect a curated solution. You go into your Spotify and it's curated for your needs. Yeah. And so people are expecting the same out of their employer. So I don't want the basic training that everybody's going to get. I want the training that's specific for me and my job.
Yeah, so. That makes a lot of sense. So could you give us an example of a training program you've seen that's really effective or kind of you've seen deliver results?
So we do lots of training. We do industrial skills training, which will be PLC training. We even do like math foundations, computer skills for the maintenance. And we do quite a bit of industrial skills training. But what we really are seeing and what manufacturers are really asking for are some of the basic manufacturing classes. So a lot of it is around supervision. We have, because of the shortage of people, we are promoting people into a supervisor position, and we need to give them those skills in order to do that. A lot around leadership. But most recently, especially in the, especially since last year's with the geopolitical and the tariffs and things that are shifting, is we are very much focused on problem solving, skills in lean manufacturing and being able to really teach those lean manufacturing tools. And it's interesting, a lot of people have said, well, with robots and automations, is what's happening to lean, is lean going away? And we had Dr. James Womack, the father of lean. He was at the Smart Factory in November, and we did a symposium, and he was speaking about it. And he was talking about how automation and lean manufacturing go hand in hand. And so there are a number of tools that you can learn in lean manufacturing, but not only those tools, is what are the effective ways of implementing, what are those methodologies for implementing that, especially in the face of automation and technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. It makes sense. Like, of course, respect for people and everything is still valid no matter what the people are working with or what technology is there. So
yeah, I heard earlier talking about how the younger generation, and we always talk about how they're on their phones and they have no communication skills. But with technology, that's becoming more and more important, or at least as important as it always was, is being able to have those relationships and be able to manage through that and communicate effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So with different trends going on lately where companies are reallocating resources towards technology, how can manufacturers effectively address these workforce challenges in the manufacturing sector?
Yeah, I think this goes a little bit back to what I was just saying. I know that board of directors are pressuring manufacturers to say, what is your Industry 4.0 roadmap? What is your technology pathway that you're taking? And some manufacturers are responding by showing that they're cutting jobs. I don't believe that that's really is becoming out of automation, because what we're seeing is as more automation is coming in, it's just changing the job. And so you still have you still need the head count, you still need the person, but instead of doing just a manual task every day, they might be overseeing several, maybe more than one production line, or seeing a whole manufacturing cell. And so those skills are what is needing to change. So I think that manufacturers need to be really cautious about announcing that they are, reducing headcount because of automation, and that they really need to look and be able to say, look, we are changing this job, so we may not have this position anymore, but we now have this position. But this is not new in our history. Look back in our history. I mean, in the 1970s, when the PC was introduced, there was this big, concern that it was going to replace the worker. Now, it did replace about 3.2 million jobs, because with the implementation of it, those jobs went away. However, it created 19 million jobs because of supporting that and what needs to be done. And throughout history, we've lost lots of jobs, right? Travel agents, the bell operator.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of jobs have changed, but they have, lots of jobs may have been gone away, but they've been replaced with other jobs, maybe jobs we don't even know that exist yet.
For sure. Good. Well, I think those are all the workforce questions I have, but just touching on your interesting career, working all different places, and could you tell us do you have any favorite memories of plants you've worked at, or something that kind of shows why you like manufacturing?
I love every plant that I have favorite memories of them. Every plant was very different. We were in different business cycles, and they were different sizes and different products and things like that. But the biggest memory that I have is the people and who I worked with. And I always say this is that it doesn't matter how much technology you have, or how much automation, or how fantastic your technology is. Without the people, without the workers, there is no manufacturing. And so it's something that each plant had somebody special, or a group of people special that was in there, and that I enjoyed or miss, right? That don't get to work with them on a daily basis. So, fortunately, operating the Smart Factory Institute gives me the opportunity to reconnect with people, and that's always a lot of fun when I can reconnect with somebody I may not have seen in 10, 15 years. So,
wow. Yeah. That's great. I guess it's like picking your favorite child. You're like, okay, I can't say my favorite plant, but talk to me later.
Yeah.
So good.
I will say I do enjoy the weather in the South much more than I did in the North. I just got back from Rochester, New York from the weekend, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's very close to Corning, New York, and I thought, oh my gosh, I did not enjoy the winters in Corning.
I can imagine. Yeah, spring is here, and I'm sure it hasn't quite arrived there. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, good. Well, I think that's all the time we have today, but thank you so much for your time, Denise. I really appreciate it. It was great to talk to you.
It was great to talk to you too, Michelle.
Okay, thank you.